What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and let's talk about traps in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. And by that, I mean how they're just kind of meh. Like, they're a thing that has to exist, right? We have dungeons, we have to have traps. That's kind of how these things go. But we only have a little bit of mechanics in the DMG and a little bit of a revision to those mechanics, and I think it was in Xanathar's guide with the complex trap options. But I'm always looking for something a little bit more. Now, I know traps are tricky because you can technically run them a variety of different ways, whatever fits for your table. But I'm always looking for the next big thing that's going to help reduce my prep time or give me something that I can pull from, drag and drop into a campaign if I'm on the, DMing on the fly, whether it's a pickup game that came out of nowhere or a routine campaign and the players take a turn to someplace I didn't expect and I need to pivot and have something that I can use. And that's why we're going to be talking about Treacherous Traps by Nord Games. Now, I'm sure you're familiar with Nord Games. You have to be. If you've been playing 5th edition for any period of time, chances are you've come across something from Nord Games. They're always putting out... I can't keep up with all the content that they're releasing. There's just so much. But Treacherous Traps is about almost a 200-page document that is just their take on traps. I also do have I'll have a link in the description, top of the video description, that you can go and check it out for yourself. I also have a coupon code that you can use to get 20% off if you go and pick that up. I don't know how long the coupon code runs for, so you'll have to just use it till you can't. But they did actually give me a little ad read. And normally I don't do these, I just kind of do my own thing, but I actually kind of like it because they took the time to spin it up into as a prompt that a DM would be giving their players. So I thought I'd give it a read. Finally, after weeks of travel, your adventuring party comes upon the lost dwarven settlement of Baldir. Still stout as the day stone was laid, the grand entrance doors remained hinged as if calling for explorers to re-enter the once great halls. Onward, your group presses. You insert the iron key gifted to you by a strange cloaked figure from a tavern in a far-off land. You turn the key to the right until a simple click is heard. On cue, the great stone door swings open, revealing a massive foyer. You have done it. You have unlocked the first secret of the great Baldir. There's different spellings. Pure excitement overtakes your dwarven barbarian companion. He sprints past you and into the hall. Before your wizard can call out for caution, you hear a deeper click. One not of good fortune and entrance, but of danger and treachery. Your dwarven friend stops in his tracks, realizing his right foot is now in captivity of a pressure plate. Once more, you hear a deep, haunting click as he turns, bearing an expression of pure terror. What do you do? I don't know. I thought it was well written. I had to read it. But anyway, this is what we're going to be talking about. So I'm going to pull over. I actually have the PDF here that we can go and take a look at. I also have some art assets because they do have a deck of cards. Again, talking about that quick access, and that's the thing Nord Games I think is very well known for, is the sort of cards and stuff that they can have to help you out there. So I do have a little bit of bulleted points here that we can talk about, right? So we said it's 174 pages. It's got 250 pre-built traps ranging from a variety of different levels and lethality. It has a whole section on trap design, a trap generator, a puzzle creation section, which is important, a riddle section. There are the 6 different decks of cards, which cover the variety of levels 1 to 4, 5 to 8, 9 to 12, 13 to 16, and 17 to 20. They also have a trap generator deck. And again, I have my coupon code. They do ship worldwide as well. So that is going to be it for the little art or the little ad piece here. So let's go ahead and pull up the PDF. I will just jump over here real quick and show you here is the website. In case you haven't stuck around and you're going to leave the coupon code is SalesTrap20. So that's SalesTrap and the number 20. I don't know, it's kind of funny that I'm trying to get you to, check out something and then the coupon code basically says it's a trap. But as you can see here, right here's the book, here's the PDF, there's a preview, which is for free. And then you can see a variety of different bundles and things you can do, as well as buying the individual cards in physical form or in digital form. So let's go ahead and pull up Treacherous Traps. Well, Nord Games is a high quality production because they use bookmarks. Again, you'd think it's a simple thing, but the amount of times that I review stuff from a variety of different folks, whether they be just somebody uploading their own individual thing to the DM's Guild or a third-party company with full-blown production, bookmarks, guys, it's a necessity. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the table of contents here. So we'll go back. We can see we have how to use traps, traps for a variety of different levels, complex traps, a section on design, as said, random trap generator, trap-centric dungeons, perplexing puzzles, subtle secrets, ridiculous riddles, rather, and then Trapsmith legends. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire book because I don't have hours to do that, and honestly, although I do imagine that some of you would stick around till the end of that video or watch it in pieces, let's just grab a couple of things throughout here. So I don't feel like I really need to look. Also, the art is phenomenal. If you take a look at this, we have some kobold trapsmiths here, classic. I like that this guy is sort of teaching them the in and outs of a bear trap, and they're all taking notes. So again, let's see how they have what they have here. How to use traps. Trap entries, the type of trap, whether it be mechanical, magical, or hybrid. The trap's level range, this is for traps again in the book, right? Trap range, level range, lethality, and any purpose keywords. Description of the trap providing its general layout and position. Trigger, this is what triggers the trap. We've also noted that entry from chapter 9 was used to make this trap to give you an idea, blah, blah, blah. The effect of the trap, and then whatever kind of countermeasures there are. And again, we have our variety of different traps. We have spell traps as well, things like glyph of warding and symbol. And then there are some that are hybrid traps, it says. So, and this is a spell here. This is Rune of Detecting. This is a new spell. When you trigger this spell, you inscribe a rune upon a surface. If you choose a surface, the rune can cover an area. You can hide the rune in a larger design. You decide what triggers the rune. So this is basically, sounds like it's when it's triggered, it creates a tiny, invisible, mindless, shapeless force that only lasts long enough to interact with a nearby mechanical element, such as a workings of a trap. So it's basically how you could do a combo. And then again, we have our trap level and lethality. What is the purpose of the trap, right? To alert, to block, to harm, to hinder, or subdue. The effects, we have a variety of, we have mundane, ambiguous, or magic, and then again, the various countermeasures. How to detect the triggers. We have how to disarm the triggers. Different options here. Detecting effects, disabling effects, how to reset the trap, and again, traps as templates. So I think that was all great to hear, but I think we should actually just take a look at some traps. So I don't want to go through all of them, but I think it would be cool to see a lower level trap and maybe something a little bit higher level. And then I want to take a look at some of the other stuff that comes up later on. So we've got level 1 to 4 traps. I also think setting a trap in a campaign early is good because it can set that expectation for your players. Like, these are traps exist in the world. These are things to be mindful of. So let's check out, how about a moderate level 1 to 4 trap? Okay, we have a trapdoor pitfall, blinding crystal, covert counteraction, extinguish flame, oath of pacifism. Oh, how about rogue's bane? That sounds interesting. Mechanical trap, level 1 to 4. A poorly disguised tripwire is easily detected, but it is a facade. The true trap is well hidden and set to go off if the decoy is tampered with. That is genius. It's like a decoy trap that hides the real trap. All right, trigger. False trigger. Disarming or attempting to disarm the false trigger triggers the real trap. Effect. Random trap. Randomly select any other mechanical trap of the same or lower lethality and use its effect. Countermeasures. A successful DC 12 perception check reveals the false and real triggers. A successful DC 12 intelligence investigation check reveals the nature of the trap and allows the creature to make a DC 12 dexterity check using thieves' tools to disable the real trigger. On a success, the real trap is disabled. So that's kind of interesting because it just lets you pick another mechanical trap. All right, so how about we go with Spear Strike Minor. This is another one. So this could be the fake trap that was tied to Rogue's Bane, right? Level 1 to 4, moderate harm. 3 spears are hidden within the walls, floor, or ceiling of this area. A thin, almost invisible tripwire is strung across the area under the spears. The trap is usually used in narrow corridors, hallways, or other passages that are frequently traversed. The trigger is a tripwire. The creature that walks across the tripwire triggers it. Effects are spears. Spears thrust down towards the creature. They must make a DC 12 dexterity saving throw or take 3d6 piercing damage on a failed save, half on a success. And it says the countermeasures, they're sensitive. Successful DC 12 wisdom perception check reveals the false, and I think this is just a copy over. This is just a copy over. This is just a direct copy of this. They don't actually tell us anything different. So I wonder if that's supposed to be there or if it was just a copy-paste error. Interesting. All right, let's try swinging stars then. Another mechanical trap, right? A pair of double doors engraved with the scene of a night sky blocks the path. The doors pull open easily, but a tension cable is attached to them on the opposite side of the engraving. The trigger is a creature that opens the doors. Effect is a swinging object. A spike ball on a chain swings down at the triggering creature. The trap attacks the creature with a +6 to the attack roll, dealing a d10 bludgeoning damage and a d10 piercing damage if it hits. This attack can't gain advantage or disadvantage. It's a DC 12 perception check. The countermeasure lets the creature spot the cable through some gaps around the hinges, and a successful DC 12 dexterity check with thieves' tools will disable said trap. All right, so that was a couple of different mechanical trap options. Let's jump ahead. Maybe we look for a magical trap. We'll jump into let's go to the 9 to 12 in the dangerous area. Let's look for, here's a bewildering bait trap, okay? A seemingly valuable item is inscribed with a glyph of warding, confusion, as to thwart potential thieves. This is suited to the areas with environmental hazards such as falls or spikes. Trigger is a touch object. A creature that touches the object triggers the trap. Spell effect, when activated, the glyph casts confusion, assaulting and twisting creatures' minds, spawning delusions, and provoking uncontrolled action. Each creature in a 10-foot radius must make a DC 15 wisdom save or fail the spell. And it uses the confusion effect of the glyph of warding, and basically it'll force people to move in sort of a random direction unless they roll very high. I might also force them to attack somebody, but the reason they're saying put it around pit traps is because if you get confused and just walk in a random direction, you can walk into this. At the end of each of its turn, an unaffected creature can make a DC 15 wisdom save. Countermeasures are a DC 15 history check to discern that the item isn't really valuable, but a cheap copy. A creature can find the glyph on the item with a DC 15 investigation check. This doesn't trigger the trap. Using detect magic also reveals the glyph. Once found, the glyph can be dispelled with dispel magic with a successful DC 15 arcana check. Okay. So we have a lot of these are based on glyph of warding and different uses of glyph of warding, it looks like. Actually, Murderous Menagerie is not, so let's look at that one. Magical Trap, level 9 to 12. The room or corridor contains weapon racks and various equipment. 8 of the weapons have been enchanted to animate and attack intruders. Trigger is a creature detector. An unauthorized creature, physical characteristics, race, or alignment that enters the area triggers the trap. It animate objects these spells. They become 8 flying swords, and they attack the creature. They crumble to dust if reduced to 0 hit points, and after a minute, they return to their original location. Countermeasures are a DC 15 perception check, can spot the symbols. And a creature that succeeds on a DC 15 Arcana check understands that the weapons will animate. They can be dispelled via dispel magic. This is one of those instances where I should bring up that breaks the standard mold of dispel magic. Dispel magic, as we've said in previous videos, is not really an accurate term. Dispel magic is more like dispel spell. Dispel magic can remove the effects of spells on a creature. The only thing that kind of goes outside of that is traps, but only specifically where the traps state that dispel magic will do anything. Let's jump again to we'll get a high-level deadly trap. Cool off, pooling puddles, snicker snack, log ride, telestairs. How about Wake the Dragon? That sounds like a good one. Level 20 trap, deadly, harm. Within this large chamber is a massive stone statue of a dragon. Sealed doors block the way forward, and various passages of music are written on the walls of the chamber. Playing the correct musical notes opens the door. Playing wrong awakens the dragon. Triggers auditory. You must make a DC 20 performance check to identify the various bits of music on the wall and play. On a success, the door opens and failure triggers the trap. Effect is release creatures. The statue animates, becoming a young black dragon that attacks all creatures in the area. If reduced to 0 hit points, the dragon crumbles to dust. It will not leave the area, and after 24 hours, it returns to stone. The countermeasures are a DC 20 history or performance check about the dragon statue, and you're able to understand it. The statue also has an abjuration aura when used with detect magic. A spellcaster can disrupt the enchantment with a DC 20 spellcasting ability check using dispel magic. All right, so we have, again, also things about complex traps. That is something we have seen in the past. I'm just going to kind of scroll a little bit here. I'm not going to go through too much here, but we can see a variety of different options using complex traps, again, for a variety of different levels here. Let's go to their designing traps section, right? So a little bit of information, just asking you pointed questions to make sure you think these things through before you start designing a trap. Think about the purpose. How about characters building traps? That's something I feel like I've done in the past, and my DMs were not really sure what to do because there weren't trap rules in 5th edition. Again, coming up with the triggers, designing the level lethality. Again, here's some more reference tables for designing your traps. Experience and rewards for traps. Traps do not have a CR like creatures, but if you feel it's appropriate to award experience for overcoming traps, you can use the values in the table below. If awarding experience points for traps would adversely affect the overall pacing or balance of your campaign, don't do it. I think that's a great idea to include that information there. Then we also have, again, here's a random trap generator, where you roll a D100 and looks like either a D20 or D10, and it gives you different areas as you're looking for the trigger. What type is it? Is it mundane, ambiguous, magic? Then you come up with the trigger, then the effect. And then again, it lists more of that information here, what kind of checks it's going to take for people to be able to discern. This is what I want from Wizards of the Coast, and it's unfortunate and fortunate that all of these awesome third-party companies like Nord Games are doing these kinds of things, because we're not getting these resources from Wizards of the Coast. We don't get very good documents that say, here's how to do your own thing, and here's some examples. They give us some very high-level, loosey-goosey information and then say, here's some examples. This is very much talking about the nitty-gritty of what it takes to design a trap, what you should be thinking about. These kind of DM resources are things that veteran DMs as well as newer DMs need, especially for the newer DMs who got started using recently with 5th edition and then they want to transition into making their own stuff. Unique sets of rules like this to help build stuff out is what they actually need. All right, we talked about the random trap generator. That's where we were just now. We have a whole little piece here about coming up with trap-centric dungeons, traps for small spaces, traps for large spaces, and then we can get into the puzzles, which I also was excited to see. Look at this, right? So we have different kinds of puzzles as well. So you're not just getting traps, you're getting as challenging players, harmful puzzles, unexpected solutions, right? Here's the different kinds of puzzles. They have a bunch of pre-made puzzles. This is what I kind of wanted to look at. Let's see if we can find a puzzle that's not too difficult. So now you're thinking with P-Sand. Characters enter a massive 40-foot wide, 50-foot long room. There's an empty 5-foot square at the entrance and exit of the room on the far side, but otherwise the entirety of the ceiling, walls, and floor are covered with churning, gravity-defying sand. Amidst the sand are a number of large, obvious buttons. If creatures touch any part of the sand, it will begin to suck them in. It takes 1 round for the sand to fully absorb a creature, and 6 seconds for them to re-emerge on the ceiling, wall, or floor exactly opposite of where they entered the sand. When characters re-emerge, they continue to fall in the direction they were previously sucked into the sand. This means characters can fall vertically or horizontally, even in opposing directions. Gravity is relative to each creature depending on the direction they were sucked into the sand. Solution: the party must find ways to redirect their gravity, reposition themselves, and push or pull each other while falling in order to hit the buttons, making them light up. You can use a map to show the location of these buttons and can show or describe them verbally, i.e. there's a red button 20 feet high, 40 feet across on the left wall. Once all buttons are lit, any falling creatures are sucked into the sand a final time before emerging right side up from the sandy floor. At this point, the exit door unlocks and the sand becomes walkable. And also it says, shifting sands. Combat in this room could be an absolute nightmare and thus is highly discouraged. However, if you are a particularly brave or unstable GM with an excellent working knowledge of 3D space or have players that have seen it all, feel free to give it a try. That's awesome. Now, what is subtle secrets? Adding depth, mystery, and intrigue to an adventure can be the difference between a good campaign and a great one. Storytelling usually benefits from keeping a bit of information from being from the main characters, and then revealing that information at the moment that gives the best dramatic effect. This could be something as important as a relationship between the main antagonist and the heroes, and so on. So we can see we have a variety of different options for coming up with story secrets, quest-specific secrets, environmental secrets. Like, see environmental secrets. A secret passageway connects an early section of the dungeon with a deeper area. The hidden doors of the passageway can only be opened from the deeper area. Or an illusion hides a passageway. So simple secrets you're giving out to kind of draw stuff out, help make things a little bit more immersive. I like it. And then we have ridiculous riddles. And they even have guidelines in here for designing a good riddle. It should be solvable. Have clues ready. This is important stuff. I'll tell you up front, puzzles and riddles can be some of the most satisfying and most frustrating things you do in Dungeons and Dragons. Because for, you, just as much as your players will take a very complex thing that you think is very hard for them to solve and then find the immediately quick fix button to solve your problem with almost no effort, the very simplistic concept of a riddle or a puzzle that you might be like, it's so simple, this will be a fun little thing, and then they'll get past it. This could be a thing that just bogs you down for hours. So you need to read through this section specifically and be ready to have clues, to have sort of a get out of jail free card, something that can help the players out to get through the riddle if they just get totally stuck on it. Okay, here's some example riddles, right? I keep an eye open, but yet I am blind. I am sharp as a tack, but I have no mind. Please try not to lose me, for I'm hard to find. The answer is a needle. I've actually never heard that one before. That one's pretty cool. I like that. And then we move on to Trapsmith Legends. The Trapsmith is a clever, cunning, and devious creator of obstacles and impediments. In this chapter, you will find information on the Trapsmith background, as well as 3 Trapsmith NPCs who can accompany an adventuring party on their journeys for the right price. So here's a little bit about the Trapsmith background. And your feature is professional courtesy. When you come into contact with other trap makers with whom you share a language, you can talk shop. When you do this, you have a better chance of building professional rapport. At the GM's discretion, this might shift away from being hostile, provide you a discount on materials, or they may decide to do you a small favor. And then they give you the characteristics here. Trap maker's tools. This kit includes handy tools handy for crafting traps, lightweight wire cutters, pliers, various clips, and so on. I like that. I always liked trapsmithing. I thought it was a really cool thing that you could do. In older editions, there were specific trap smithing classes or prestige classes. And then again, we have Burf Barbender. Here's Burf here. Izzy Freeleaf, the Rock Gnome. And then Max Rosewater, the human, a bunch of trapsmiths that you can add in to your game. So I did want to, let's see, where is it? Here's again, I wanted to show you off some of the card assets that they gave to me to show off, again, a variety of different things, what you're going to get if you decide to go the card route as opposed to the card cover book like we were just looking at. So you can see here's Baffling Barriers, Glyph of Blazing Nuisance, and it gives you kind of all the information on one side, the trigger, the effect, and the countermeasures. And then again, you have a little bit more background information on the other side. See, nice and easy. Or no, actually, I think you just have just a back on the other side. Yes, it's just a treacherous. So it's basically the entirety of what you need for the trap is all just contained on this one playing card, which is phenomenal because you could stack. I mean, if you don't want to carry the book or you just want to have, you don't want to flip through the book and you just say, okay, they're level 9 to 12, shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Oh, here's the card. This is the trap that's happening. If you want to be really mean, you could have you shuffle the cards and then have the players pick the card and say, all right, well, you're going into a dungeon. You've heard this dungeon is trapped, and then shuffle the cards up and fan them out and let the party pick. You could also this could be a great way to play mind games. You have 4 players at the table. You have each player at the table pick one of the cards, and you say, okay, don't look at it, give it to me. And then you're like, oh, okay, and this is the trap we're going to use. And you have 4 players at the table pick cards, so they're expecting 4 traps in the dungeon. There's only 3, maybe there's only 1, and now they're freaking out and on edge anytime anything happens, and you could really play on that player paranoia if you so choose. So anyway, folks, I think this Treacherous Traps is a fantastic resource for you. Like I said, if you know Nord Games, you know you're getting quality. It's very clearly all there, and the cards are just sort of the icing on the cake if you want to have something a little bit quick hit that you can throw in your pocket or just have at the ready at your table if you need it. So like I said, I'll have a link in the description at the top of the video description, as well as a pinned comment where you can go over to the Nord Games website to pick up Treacherous Traps. And as a reminder, you can use the coupon code SALESTRAP20 to get 20% off your order. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.